time to spill the secrets.
This is Universal Secrets with Tiffany Mack and Kevin Hale.
It is Tuesday night. You know what that means.
It's Universal Secrets with Tiffany Mack and Kevin Hale. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good. How are you, dear?
I'm doing good. Finally, for the first time in a while, I haven't had a headache tonight, and I'm just like, thank the Lord. So I'm doing okay tonight. Yeah.
Good to hear that. I was dealing with this weather, the Ohio Valley, allergies. I look at a lawnmower and I start sneezing. That's my life.
Yeah.
Tiffany, we are live streaming on our YouTube and Facebook pages, channels. People in the chat, follow, subscribe to our show, and you can find the link in the description. Appreciate the company. Tiffany, since we did we had the 2-year hiatus, and we came back with the reboot, season 4, whatever you want to call it. Universal Secrets has always been a paranormal theme show. I keep doing the
right
quotes.
The air quotes.
Laser. I want to, Dr. Evil.
Yeah.
So, we've said that we wanted to branch out, kind of expand our the content to universal things, not so not necessarily paranormal. And tonight is definitely one of them. I went through the notes. I've went through our guest's bio, everything. I can't find a paranormal angle here, and it's okay.
That's okay. Yes. Yeah. And we have given ourselves the freedom to be able to make those decisions and choices. So
we are capable of doing a non-paranormal conversation.
We've done a few of them, so we're good. We'll be good. Yeah.
Well, when shout out to, again, Michelle Freed, who we've reconnected with this reboot, and she once again is handing us some clients of hers. We get that list, and we were like, all right, this is who we want, and give her some dates, and then tonight happened. And tell us what we're doing tonight, Tiffany.
So tonight, for Universal Secrets, we are inviting a guest on who's not only survived unimaginable challenges, but has also transformed her pain into purpose. Her story is one of resilience, courage, and the pursuit of truth. Our guest today is Sarah Lauren, an advocate, author, and survivor of the sex trafficking industry. I can't even hardly say it because it scares me so bad. She's here to share her journey from darkness to light, from captivity to liberation. Sarah's experiences have shaped her into a fierce advocate for justice, healing, and empowerment. So throughout this episode, we'll be diving into the hidden corners of exploitation, the strength of human spirit, and the universal secret that binds us all. So before we get into that, it's going to be a heavy topic. So to lighten the mood, just to begin with, I want to tell you all what we did this weekend. So Brent and I went to the Ohio Bigfoot Conference.
Like I knew you would.
Yes. And of course, I have to find the only aliens in the joint.
Did you find it, or did it find you?
It found me.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah. This is what I call Gumby alien. He doesn't even actually really stand up.
Does he flex, bend? I mean, no.
He's solid wood.
Where's
And
Eddie
there's the
Murphy at when
author.
we need him?
I don't know. I don't know. So we got that guy. And then this is my new buddy. He looks like he may have had a really hard crash on his head. So,
I was gonna say, did he crash?
but damn, isn't he adorable?
Yes.
Yeah. So those guys were awesome.
How does
And
that how
for
does
all
that
of
stuff
our
it's a Bigfoot conference, but
yeah,
there's a lot of you just
there's
showed me
some
2.
alien stuff. I'm the
Yep.
alien girl, so they always have
Yeah.
something for me,
Oh,
right?
they do.
Okay. And then this thing is solid. This will not be like flittering and being flung across the water. It's not gonna float.
Is that
It's solid.
what's those things that people steal from
Yeah.
cars?
It's like a hubcap. Maybe.
Uh,
There you
it
go.
looks like something under my hood, but yeah, it could be a yeah.
Yeah.
Catalytic converter.
There you
People yes,
go.
yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. So I got a few of those, and of course we got some new T-shirts and some new stuff, fun stuff. So
To make new friends.
we did. So we had and two people that we had not met, Darby Orcutt, who was a professor down at North Carolina State,
Okay.
and he is involved with collecting um, pieces of hair, tissue samples from what people think may be Bigfoot, uh, encounters. And so they're taking that and they're using whatever they can to identify whether it's whatever species it is. They're just investigating. They're spending a lot of money on it. So that was sort of cool to see that somebody like NC State, which is one of the biggest research and scientific institutes in the country, being part of that. I thought that was awesome. And then we also met, what's his name? Doug Hychek, who
Mm.
is from Monster Quest. He's the
Oh
producer of
yeah.
Monster
He's
Quest.
a
Yeah.
producer kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah, he's an interesting character, and he was awesome. So we did meet some new people, and saw some of our old besties along the way. So, but we're gonna have to do a conference. I keep telling you, Kevin, you're gonna have to make it up to a conference. So we need to either do like a Bigfoot, UFO,
I'm all
cryptid con,
yeah,
something.
some UFO ufology type
Well,
of
so you don't want to do Bigfoot?
I love you. I love Brent. It's just the hairy man's not my go-to.
All right. Okay.
I
Well,
mean, we're gonna find him in the back of your woods. I
probably.
think that's gonna happen before. Well, all right. Well,
It may. It may. All right. So, all right. Now that we have that over, and I think everybody is mentally prepared, let's switch gears, and we're going to bring on our lovely guest, our very strong, lovely guest, Sarah Lauren. Hello, Sarah. How are you this evening?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. So this is tough because I would prefer to hear where you came from and what started this whole process for you from your own words, rather than reading it off. So can you please introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about you?
Sure. Yeah, so I guess I just decided a few years ago that I was going to write out and start sharing my story and just join the conversation to bring awareness to an issue that affects, I think, every place in the world. And that issue is human trafficking. And I want to preface this by saying that I thought it was important to share because I think everybody has trauma and we all have the ability to overcome it. It might even be why we're all here at this time, is to learn how to overcome it and help each other break out of the patterns that occur after a traumatic experience. So that's kind of why I'm here, to share my story and offer some solutions and hope an awareness around the topic.
Mm-hmm. So I have 3 daughters, and this topic is ultimately the one thing that terrifies me to my core. I don't care if aliens come in my house and abduct us and throw us back in bed. I really don't care. That doesn't bother me. The idea that someone can take a human being and force them into some sort of illegal activity, the predators that are out there have become very rampant, and that, with the ignorance of being young, is a dangerous combination. Would you agree?
And social media, and
Mm-hmm.
how that kind of just is such a blur. I mean, the lines are blur when it comes to social, but I'm sorry, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. So what motivated you to share your personal story of survival in your book, Alchemizing Exploitation?
I felt it was important to use my voice and to be seen and to be myself. It was kind of a long process. Gosh, I kind of don't know where to start, but I think what really catapulted me into actually writing a book about it and talking on podcasts about it was my treatment with psilocybin. It gave me the courage because 5 years ago, I was not this way. I
When you say this way, what does that mean exactly?
like able to talk about things that happen. I would run away, I would hide. So just the fact that I can even talk about it is.
Can we pump the brakes for a little bit? Can you, if you don't mind, can you tell us
Mhm.
when this all started or happened to you,
Mhm.
age-wise or years in the past?
16 years ago.
Oh,
Yeah, a long time ago.
So you were a child.
I was 19 when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
That's still very young.
Mm-hmm.
So where were you 16 years ago?
Okay, so when I had just turned 18, 17 years ago, I reconnected with my biological mother. So I grew up with the family that adopted me at age 5. So I did know her in my early years, but we had lost contact. And I really felt it was important to meet her. I always had that longing. A lot of adopted kids do. I just always have had this insatiable need to know the truth about everything. So I did find her and I met her. And it was about a year of us establishing a relationship before the incident actually happened. So I want to say in my case, I know in a lot of cases right now, people are being trafficked through things like Roblox, which is an app that I
Right.
think around 75% of children between the ages of 7 and 12 have played once at least in their life. And the chat feature is pretty there's no safety around the chat, so strangers can talk to kids on that app. So I always advise people against letting their kids go on Roblox. But in my case, this was a family member. And actually, in the United States, in most cases, it's either a family member, an intimate partner, or an employer. So somebody who has a position of trust in your life. So that's what happened. I'm 18 years old. I reconnect with my birth mother and we establish a relationship, and I trust her because she's my mother. And I also want to say that this woman grew up in the foster care system in the United States. So she was abused in every way you can imagine for her entire childhood. And she was a heavy drug user, including and especially pharmaceutical drugs, heavy pharmaceutical drugs like morphine and things like that. So I didn't have any educational background around drugs. I didn't even take health class in high school, so I didn't even know what that was. But she was not aware, in a sense. She was just in active addiction and just not well, which is why I was adopted in the first place. But I didn't know all of that. So it was a fun experience for me for that year that I was getting to know her because I had wondered my whole life. But I would say that before the big incident happened, it was a period of grooming. So kind of making the lifestyle of prostitution and sex work look glamorous through her stories. She would tell me about her experience when she was younger and how she had fun, and it was just a little while and it worked out for her. So she kind of made it sound like it was a good thing and I could drink alcohol with her. There were no boundaries. So at one point she put GHB in my drink, and
Which is that's roofies, right? That's the is that correct?
date rape
Date
drug.
rape.
Yes, yeah. I had that dropped on me once as well. So at that time, you didn't realize what was going on, but when that happened, did you go completely out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I went completely out. So I don't really remember details about for I don't know how long, but
Yeah.
I ended up in a studio apartment and I was in and out of consciousness, and there was just drugs all the time. Like it was, I would kind of come back into consciousness and then, here's a drink and smoke this or take this pill. It was like just this constant flood of substances. But at one point I was somewhere, this happened in San Francisco. I was somewhere in the avenues and I was in a studio with a man and a woman on the bed, but they were unconscious. And I regained consciousness and the front door was boarded shut. Like there were boards nailed from the inside over the door. So I was able to get out of that situation. They were completely out and I had a phone with me and I found like a hammer to get the boards off, and I got out and I used my phone to call for help, and I went into a safe house, which is still running.
The two people that were with you were not of good terms with you. They were part of the
Program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I assume so.
Okay.
I like to this day, I don't even know who they were.
So you just awakened and there were two people who were unconscious by their own doing, you think?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. They were.
Do you feel like they had purchased you for the day and just sort of overdone it themselves and passed out?
Probably. Yeah.
And all this time that you've spent with your biological mother, there was an agenda on her part. Yes, no?
I don't know.
Okay.
I feel like in that level of consciousness, how do you really have an agenda?
Yeah.
How do you even know what you're doing?
Do you feel like you're giving her an out by saying that? Sometimes.
I feel like when we are in a state of dis-ease and we're unplugged, we are susceptible to manipulation. So I think if she was well in her natural state, that would not have happened.
Yeah.
think that, whether it's entities or whatever it is, there's something else pulling the strings. Maybe it's your programming. Maybe it's her messed up nervous system that is running on these behavior patterns that are based on her stress response, her freeze, not allowing her to make conscious decisions.
So was someone else making those decisions for her? I mean, was there a leader, or I guess
she had somewhere along the way established a relationship with the people who were running, essentially a brothel.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it was through that connection. I don't know how they met, if they met at a bar, or if she just, tried to get drugs from people, or she could have met him at the laundromat. I have no idea. But she somehow knew people who did have an organized operation.
So, I was looking up some statistics and some details. So according to the 2023 Trafficking in Persons report by the United States Department of State, millions of people are exploited within and across the borders. Victims are forced to work in factories, harvest crops, toil in mines, construction sites, fishing boats, work in private homes. So this is not, even if it came down to the sex industry alone, there are still many, many other forms of abuse that are happening every day, every state, every city. Did you feel like you learned anything from this experience that is helpful for young women, especially in the world today?
I would say that understanding, there's so much knowledge that you can gain that can protect you. And we're not really set up right now. We're getting there, overall as a society, to know how to deal with vulnerable situations, like, young women that are in a vulnerable population. Maybe their parents have immigrated, maybe they're growing up in poverty. These are all vulnerable populations that are susceptible to situations. If you get angry and you want to run away from home, you're going to be susceptible. So learning how to manage, educating yourself about how to manage your emotions and your nervous system, and know what it feels like and what it looks like, and experience love, safety, and belonging, then you won't choose a dangerous situation. It'll be a lot easier to protect yourself. So how do we learn that? Like, we're not taught that in schools. And like in my situation, my mother experienced this when she was young. So did her mother.
So she normalized the entire situation.
Yeah. And I think that somehow, if you look into epigenetics, certain genes are turned on or off. Like, I had a susceptibility to this, like, in my DNA.
That's what they say about alcoholics and drug addicts, that it's, sort of passed down, that addiction, whether you have an addiction right now, it doesn't mean that if you try something today, you may never be able to stop, but it does imply that there might be more opportunity for us who have been in that style of living at all. It may be passed to us as well.
Yeah, and I think some of that has to do, like, I was with her for 5 years, and not the whole 5 years. I was like between her and foster parents off and on. But her situation and how she was, not knowing how to regulate her own emotions, affected me. So I was severely neglected as a child. So I had certain programming imprinted within me my whole life before this happened, and then it was exacerbated after this happened. So to break free, you know, I was physically rescued, but I was still very unwell and affected by the situation, to the point where I was just numbing with alcohol and drugs myself afterwards for a decade, off and on.
Did you feel that there were ever enough people or enough support systems in the community to help you? Did you feel like you ever found a good support system?
Yes, I do. And I think at the time that I found that safe house situation and I was in that place, it was a good place. I feel like I didn't choose to heal or be well. Maybe it was because I didn't understand it. I wasn't ready. I was too young. I don't know. But I didn't choose. I think a lot of it has to do with making the choice. And that starts with just kind of surrendering and asking for help. And then it kind of, the help comes to you when you really want it. But gosh, it's hard because sometimes people aren't able to make a choice to get better because they're just in a really bad situation, and it's been, they just don't know how to deal with it. So I think, 16 years ago, they had this program, like I went to an outpatient program where, I'm trying to think back some of the things we did, like coloring and group therapy and things like that, which is great. But I think nowadays we have access to methods that may be more effective, like the psilocybin assisted therapy or embodiment practices, or there's EMD, eye movement. Have you heard of that one? That is supposed to be really effective as well.
And tapping?
And tapping. I tap every day.
I tap before I go to bed. It drives my husband nuts.
Elaborate. I'm not familiar with that.
She can explain the technique.
Yeah, go ahead.
So it's a way of kind of, you use your meridian point. I can tap for you if you want. So I've been working a lot this year on thriving, right? So I've been playing with different phrases around that topic, like I am well compensated for everything I do. And I say it 3 times. I just like the number 3. I think it's significant somehow. I don't know how, but I do it 3 times on each point. So I am well compensated for everything I do. I'm well compensated for everything I do. And then you just go through all the points, and I say it 3 times. This one, and then this one. And I'm not a scientist or a psychologist or anything like that, but you do that same phrase for like maybe even just a week, and it's shocking the results you get. I don't know how it manifests or comes about, but it always works out that whatever problem you're having that you tap on, it just resolves itself.
And you do the same, Tiffany?
I do. Yeah, I do. And I learned the technique from one of our past guests. Her name is Rebecca Girasitano, and she's a past life regressionist. She does a lot of hypnotherapy, and that the tapping technique is one that she really helped me with. And one of the things is part of healing is expressing what has happened in your own words and being able to say them out loud. And I think that's similar, and it has this release on your body, on your soul, that can give you time to heal and grow from that. But when we talk about meditation, and I think of tapping in that same sense, when you do the sequence of 3s and whatever number you want to give to it, it gets you into that state where your body can do something other than bitch and complain. You know, you get to a point where you're calm, you're feeling like you're in a safe spot, and you have to be in order for healing to grow, right? For you to grow and heal. But it puts you into this meditative state to where you can tell the universe what you want, what your goals are, what you need, how you need attention, and what areas you need attention in dealing with. And I think that probably is very therapeutic for a lot of people who've never heard of the therapy, because it's something that you can do for yourself. You can do it in your own home. You can do it anywhere at all. And it doesn't rely upon drugs. It relies upon your soul and what you want to do with it.
Hmm.
Would you agree, Sarah?
I would. Yeah. I mean, I don't really know the scientific details of how these things work. I find certain things that really work for me, and I continue to do them. And the same things aren't going to work for everybody. That's why I think it's important to have access to an education that gives you a well-rounded set of tools so that people can pick and choose the ones that they align with best, because we're all created differently as well.
Created and wired differently. Part of your healing process too, Sarah, if you don't mind me bringing up, was mushrooms, psychedelics, or something. What was that experience? How did that come into
How
play?
did that come about? Yeah.
So 2019, I decided to turn my life around. I had lost my mind and I had lost everything and just kind of hit bottom, like you hear people say sometimes. So I surrendered. I got into a 12-step program, and I had a couple of years of sobriety. And I was just having a conversation because now, my whole lifestyle has changed. I've simplified my life, and I'm creating and cultivating trust for myself and joy and all these good things very slowly. And I had a conversation with some people about psilocybin assisted therapy. And then I looked up some more about it because they said, well, you should look into it. Maybe you would want to try it. And I watched the movie Fantastic Fungi on Netflix, one that Paul Stamets is in. I love that guy.
I haven't seen it.
Really, oh man, he's so intelligent and well versed in all things mycelium. So I had the opportunity to do a psilocybin ceremony and be guided. And I did. And I was told that your mindset is really important. So if you're really angry the day before or the day of that you're going to do a ceremony, it's not going to work because the medicine will exacerbate whatever it is you're feeling. So you want to be in a calm mindset and in a setting where you're not worried about anything else. If you have kids, they're with babysitters, everything's taken care of, you're safe. And then your intention. So what do you want to accomplish? You don't need to know how it's going to happen, just what do you want to accomplish? So that day I wrote down a prayer the first time I did it. And it was basically like, take away my difficulties so that victory over them will be a testament of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. And I took, a decent amount, I guess like a normal dose, not a microdose, not a hero dose, but like a normal dose. And I had never had an experience like this before. I had like heavy drugs that were not healthy,
Right.
But this was, it was like altitude sickness when it started to kick in. I started laughing. Like if you're climbing a mountain and you hit 16,000 feet above sea level and then you start giggling uncontrollably, that's altitude sickness. It felt like that. And then I got to the tough part. So for this particular situation, I had a feeling it's my first time. I researched it. I'm probably going to hit the black mirror. And the black mirror is this moment of your psyche bringing something to the surface that's very unpleasant and showing you your deepest fears. And what you do with that, your choice that you make in that moment, really affects the course of the journey. That was my experience. That's what I researched. And yeah. So
Do they have a guide for you? Is there someone there to sort of walk you through it like a hypnotherapist would do?
yes, there's a guide. There's a psilocybin assisted guide.
Okay.
So,
All right.
and we discussed all of this, and they answered all my questions going into it. And it was like a comfortable setting and everything. So I hit the black mirror, and I felt, it was like a moment of feeling all the horrors that I had experienced. And I knew I couldn't like run away from that. So I went into it. I leaned into it. It's like I became it. Like I became the pain. It's hard to even put into words how you even do that. Like I couldn't like technically write out directions how to do this. I just know that it happened because this is what happened for me.
Right.
And then once I became it, then I was guided. Okay, what do you want to do now? Do you want to move it? Do you want to keep it? Do you want to put it somewhere else? Or do you want to change it? And I decided to transform it, and it just dissipated. Completely dissipated, gone. And then it was like literally the veil lifted. And then I could see this reality that was different. I was there, like it was a journey. You're supposed to go to a certain place in this journey, and I was in that place. And I had experienced this place once before this happened.
Can you describe the place? Do you remember it enough to give us a description of where you were?
Yeah, so where I was not like a geographical location, but it's like a state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
I think because, so much of our reality is mental, is perception. When you observe a particle responds to your observation, right?
Yep.
So this experience, I felt something similar the day my daughter was born. The day my daughter was born, I felt like my heart opened the first time ever. I think that was the first person I ever loved, was my daughter. And literally the hospital room was like, there were waves, vibration. There was like patterns in the air. And I felt like I was waking up from a dream. Like my whole life before that moment was completely a dream, because there was no love in the previous moments. But then all of a sudden my heart opened and there was love, and I woke up from the dream. Well, it was like that in the psilocybin experience. It was like I woke up. I was like, oh my gosh, I was dreaming this whole time. Who else knows about this place? So I can describe it like, okay, you can see the vibratory signatures in the air. That's the mandala patterns, because sound makes patterns. We know that by studying somatics and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
See that in the air. And it's really just this understanding that I thought about the people in my life at that time, like people I worked with, and all the things I was stressed and worried about. I made such a big deal about just the previous day. And I thought, oh my gosh, it doesn't matter. Like none of it really matters. They don't know what they're doing. They're asleep. We're all just asleep. We've been dreaming this whole time. And I remember I was talking to my guide, like, who else knows about this place? Like, why is this such a big secret? And then we started talking about religion and the Bible and just how society is built, and the fact that this is illegal in a lot of places, and yet pharmaceutical companies make so much money off your Prozac and your morphine and all the things, which, by the way,
is the okay, we're all gonna go down the pharmaceutical highway, right? That's what they want. Every time you turn on the TV, there's ads for everything under the sun. They're like, do you breathe at night? Oh shit, you need this. You
Oh
shouldn't be breathing
no.
tonight, right? So that's something that we've heard, in our one of our past guests was Christopher Thomas, and he was mentioning that there's some really awesome aspects to psilocybin, and I don't think he was talking about how it could heal, but he did mention that there was a moment when his brain switched into different gears and was just like, why is this illegal? Why is this? It's, you know, um if it's therapeutic, why can't you access it?
Right, exactly. Well, what I experienced after that day, obviously the experience was really profound and memorable. But it was like something reset in my body. And all of a sudden, my biological intuition was online. And I started to crave things that my body needed. Clean water. I had no problem before this drinking tap water. All of a sudden, I'm researching what is in the water. And I bought a distiller and I started distilling my own water. And I did a heavy metal detox and a parasite cleanse. And I started eating more clean and organic food, like literally overnight. And started researching topics about wellness and how does all of this work and religion, just all kinds of things. It just completely lit me up and allowed me to pursue this state, which I believe is our natural state of wellness. And in this state, we have access to just profound understanding to evolution. I don't know.
Since we are a mainly paranormal show, I'm going to ask this. During your treatment, did you ever have an
With the
opportunity
mushrooms or what? What are you
with,
talking?
yes,
Okay,
with
okay.
psilocybin?
Right.
Did you ever have, or another any other therapies that you'd like to discuss? Did you ever happen to come into contact with an entity that you don't know in your waking life?
No, I hate that I have to say no to that question because I really
Come on,
want to
Sarah, spill the beans.
story and I want to have hung out with aliens, but I still have not met an alien. I'm very sad about
Did
that.
did you have anyone that spoke to you that you didn't see? Any voices that you heard? Who was giving you this guidance to research clean water and clean foods?
My inner guidance.
Okay.
So I would say I met my higher self because I've been microdosing and doing ceremonies ever since.
Mhm.
Okay.
And, I've changed my lifestyle completely, like more so even than I already had with nutrition and supplementation and things like that. And I've been repairing my DNA. That's what I discovered. Like I had a dream one day. I woke up at 3:33 a.m. My best friend woke up at the same time and we had had the same dream. And in the dream, we were given like this list of ingredients, supplements that would repair our DNA. And I've been doing this for like a year and a half now. And I feel like amazing. Like not all the time, but I've had experiences just from taking for 6.5 weeks, for instance, sea moss and glutathione and certain things, that do actually repair your DNA, where I felt like I was like transfiguring into a light body. It was crazy. So
Now you're speaking our language.
yeah, so higher self, I feel like I met my higher self. And there's one situation I had when I was in a ceremony and it was completely dark and there was no music playing or anything. And I was looking in the mirror and I was enveloped by light. The light was coming from me. And I could hear, I thought, at the time, Jesus was coming back to take us to heaven. I could hear what I like to call the primordial sounds of creation.
Mm. Wow.
And it was like harps and flutes and birds I don't know if you've ever read the book, C.S. Lewis's book, The Magician's Nephew, and Aslan is creating Narnia with sound.
Oh, interesting.
It was like that.
Wow.
And I was remembering creation because it was like I accessed it within me, within my DNA. I think our memory is stored there, like past lives and things. And it was like I was just kind of outside of time. I exited time and I was remembering creation because it's all happening all at once, because time is an illusion and it's everything in the now moment. And I remembered that and I experienced it. But at the time, I couldn't explain it that well to you. I've done a lot of research around that experience since that happened. At the time, I literally thought, like, oh, Jesus is here. Let's go. Like, where's everybody at?
That's not surprising to hear. I think that a lot of people who go on this quest for healing and this quest for knowledge, they do feel that way. I don't think that you're an unusual person in that regard. I think that you are searching for the ways to make yourself that perfect, as perfect as a human can be, perfect mother, so that you can take care of your daughter and keep those things away from her. And maybe your inner self, the person that you speak to in that state has those answers for you and has that advice on how to keep her safe in this world that is so damn dangerous.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think my daughter is going to have to heal from some things. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, for not at the extent that I had to deal with things, but I think we really are all affected by just the way things are. Like, that's cool.
And Yuffie says, when the poet is ready, the poem will appear. To said.
Nice.
Yeah. She also left a message about your comment earlier, and she says Sarah could have a construct and not know it. Not saying she does, just that it's a possibility.
What's a construct?
I'm assuming that she's saying that there is a plan that you're involved with that you may not know all the details to.
Yeah, so here's the thing about this story too. I know my background is rather dramatic, but I'm not, sitting around and holding my head in guilt and shame and regretting my experiences. Actually, it's quite the opposite. Because I think globally we're in a situation right now where it is so important for us to reconnect to our power and to just be conscious beings, so that whatever negative things we've had to deal with before this point don't control us. Like, you have the plan, you make the plans, or a plan will be enforced on you, right? So I believe, and I didn't growing up, but now I believe in reincarnation, and I believe that before I was born, I chose to come to this place at this time and experience certain things that were going to be in my familial lineage that I was going to have to alchemize or transform or transmute in order to heal something and break free the whole family line. Like, I chose this mission and here I am, and I don't know the whole story, but I can see the step that's right in front of me. And that's all I'm doing. I don't have this big plan. I'm just taking the step that shows up in front of me.
Did you ever? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kevin.
Well, I mean, I'm going to switch gears if you got something to say pertaining to what she just said.
That's all right.
Okay. Religion. How is religion? You've mentioned Jesus, God. How is that in your life or in your mindset? Was it like before you experienced this, or did you have this? Well, go ahead.
My cultural upbringing was, the Judeo-Christianity patriarchal religion. So my adoptive family are religious. My father is actually he's a preacher.
Okay.
So yeah, and I was taught even like, don't read scripture outside the Bible because it's evil,
You know that there's 57 miles of books in the Vatican that nobody's ever seen.
I know.
There's so much information that the Bible has been just decimated, really. There's just only certain selections that have been added, and that always gives me pause because I wonder what else is supposed to be guiding us besides these 1,000 pages.
We need an insider from the Vatican on this show.
I know, right?
Yeah. All right, I'll digress.
So did that help your situation, or did you get that feeling of extreme guilt that ate at you because of it?
Oh my gosh, I had so much shame and guilt, and just I'm a horrible person. I'm going to hell. And then I realized what's true for me is that I've already been in hell. Like that was hell. I lived there. Yeah. And then now I'm creating heaven. Like we can create hell or heaven for ourselves. It's because we have the choice. We have the sovereignty. We just have to remember. So all these texts.
Very good point.
Yeah. So I've been going crazy, like reading the Nag Hammadi scriptures, the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Epic of Gilgamesh. I'm just reading them and putting on YouTube because I'm so excited about it. Like I'm allowed to read this stuff and learn this stuff. And I have dreams and visions about, what could have happened, about friends and the Vatican and religion lying to us and taking our power and things like that. So I am just super fascinated. I'm really fascinated with the Gnostic viewpoint of the creation story and Yahweh being the demiurge. That makes a lot of sense to me. Mm-hmm. And actually that ties in with human trafficking, because if you look at those Old Testament accounts of this entity requiring human sacrifice, these rituals, that blood was being offered to an entity whose name was Yahweh, who was probably just an alien or mean person or the demiurge.
An alien. We've brought her to our side.
Welcome to the dark side, Sarah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
I've had a lot of the same troubles. As much as I rant and rave about having my children be committed to the Catholic doctrine, it still is very difficult for some people to swallow, because it is a very structured environment that doesn't necessarily, as much as they say forgive or ask for forgiveness and you shall receive, they still have a lot of guilt that they place on people's shoulders. There's still a lot of, there's a control factor. And unfortunately, I think that is being used by the wrong individuals to put people in a position of being trafficked and used and abused. Now, the Catholic faith, we know that there's been over $3 billion for allotments to people who have been abused by the Catholic Church. So it's happening. It still happens. It's happened forever. So we have to take out. We have to take out the man and the human aspect of it in order to grow emotionally and spiritually, because like you being in a bad position where people have abused you, the same thing happens because we're still in a structured society that is still being pushed on people by men of power, men of great worth, and it's all over the place. You know what? I'm sorry, but people are paying for children still. I mean, essentially what happened with you. People are still paying for young people to abuse. It's not going away. What is your advice when it comes down to it? Because like I said, I hate going into the religious aspect of it, but there's a person of power. It's a person of authority saying, you're not going to go to heaven if you don't do this. Or they could say, you're not going to eat today unless you do this. And I'm assuming that that is more the type of scenario that you were uh, invested in. This was more of a, you do this or you may not live another day.
Yeah.
You know, there's always a punishment for not doing what you're told. And what's sad is that I've read a lot of stories about young people today. And I think that with the border crisis that we're only going to see more of it. What are your thoughts on the amount of people that have come over the border and a lot of those children just sort of vanishing? Do you feel like they're being forced into some type of slavery, whether it's sexual exploitation or physical labor?
Labor. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure, because if you look at the demographic, okay, so like, are those children that are disappearing from families who are involved in organized crime, drug trafficking, things like that? Then probably so, because again, you're talking about a genetic disposition. So if you're in a vulnerable population and you're affected by those things, then yeah, it's likely to happen to you, of course. And I think it's awful. And I think the way towards, on a societal level, freedom from these situations is, of course, talking about it and raising awareness. But also, I got to a point where I said, I'm not interested personally in what is good or bad, because I was conditioned to believe certain things are good and certain things are bad. And that wasn't necessarily true. So instead of talking in terms of good or bad, I now say, what is true? So I ask myself, what is true for me in this situation? And that's what I follow. So I think if we can convert our thinking and our programming to be more in line with what is true, then we can break out of a lot of these program patterns, because that's what it is. Because it started, whatever little kid is coming across the border and disappearing and being trafficked, where did that start? Was it their grandfather, their great grandmother? So breaking down the programming of the imprinting on their nervous system can allow them to actually alter the expression of their genes and heal and break that pattern, so they're not passing it down to their child. But I think for young people to not just be rescued, but to heal and stop that cycle of, trauma, that particular trauma, we need to have systems in place at the community level to be able to reach these people and treat them properly, instead of throwing them into some, strict religious rehab that just continues to add guilt and shame to the damage that's already been done.
Yes. That makes a lot of sense. That really resonates with me. And I appreciate your commentary on that, because I think it's important for other people to hear that and have a goal to change their way of thinking, so that they can get past that and learn how to be the better person that they can be.
Tiffany, we talked about, or Sarah mentioned that she watched one of our shows prior to coming on. It was the one we had was John Myler, the Bible,
Mhm,
obviously
mhm,
very religious theme.
mhm,
And
mhm.
I there was moments, it could have turned into a debate. For the record,
Yeah.
Sarah, I'm on the other side of the field, or I'm on the other playing team when it
You
comes
mean you're
to
on the
religion.
devil's side?
Well, there's some fun times there, So, but one of the things I threw out, you know, that cheesy line is, not cheesy. That's the wrong way to put it. The that expression, why does bad things happen to good people?
Mhm.
If there is a loving God, why does he let these things happen to innocent, defenseless children? You know, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tiffany. His answer was that it's God's love. That's how I remember that.
Yeah.
And I thought I was getting ready to, if I could have virtually went through the camera into his, the, I don't, that I struggle with that. And, Ufa is, bringing up love, one of the most misused and abused words in any language. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because
If
a lot of young women, a lot of young girls, especially young girls, I would say, are searching for someone to shower them with attention and shower them with what they think that they need. And I think that is very dangerous. Um, like you were searching to reconnect with your biological mother. You had a quest and you had been thinking about it for a long time without knowing what the actual person who released you into someone else's custody, what happened there. You didn't really understand it. You didn't know it. I'm assuming that you never really discussed it fully with her, like what happened. You just sort of realized she's gone down a dark path and she's had struggles with alcohol and drugs her whole life, maybe. Um, did you ever think maybe I can help her, fix her, or fix our relationship? Did you is that what made you sort of stay?
Yeah, I wanted to mother her and help her. I took that responsibility on. I think that's part of my programming as a child.
Mhm.
I've
Yeah.
been in this program that's helping me a lot, and I'm always doing things to learn and grow and heal. I am doing embodiment practices, and
Can you describe that?
yeah. So 1 week the theme was thriving, and the practice was, we were taken through this meditation around, thriving and experiencing, um, what do you desire and experiencing it. But very shortly into this guided thing, we were prompted to identify an area within our body that holds resistance to thriving. So I identified in my heart an area that didn't want to thrive, that didn't want to be nurtured, because that part of me was very young and felt like if I express a need, I'm going to get in trouble. I will be in danger if I show that I need anything. And that was a reflection. That was just, I don't know details of why I felt that way. That's not the point. The point is, I could invite that part of me to come into the present moment and hide in love and safety and belonging and experience that. So that part of me accepted that invitation. And as a result, I was actually severely underweight last year. The whole year, I was like 100 pounds. But the last few months, I've gained weight. Like I'm a normal BMI now. And I think it's because of that practice, because I gave myself permission. Now I give myself permission to eat when I'm hungry, which I wasn't even conscious of until this year. I forget the question that I just answered. Hopefully I did.
I can't even remember. Where did we go? Where were we? We're like this.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned, Sarah, you mentioned you were with your mother. You were kind of like going into a motherly, nurturing, trying to help her. But at a certain point, when did you realize that you're a slave to this now? That you're, what you're doing, your intentions are good, but it just sounds like it's one step forward, two steps back, because you're now under someone else's control or something else's control. Did you at that, I guess, how did you kind of realize that, where you're trying to help her, but that moment where you like, oh shit, I'm in trouble. How can I help myself now?
Well, like the conversations with me go, and they're just kind of circling around a little bit and back and forth. It was like that, I wanted to help her, and then I just not talked to her for years, and do my own thing.
Have you given up?
No, I talk to her probably like once a year. I haven't seen her in maybe 7.
Oh, okay.
What made you want to see her after that event? Did you want to get an answer from her? Like, why would you do this to me?
I think I really didn't even understand what happened until after I was sober for a couple of years. I was just numbing with alcohol the whole time. So, yeah, I didn't even really understand. Being honest with yourself after something like that is really hard. Like, even just admitting that something happened.
Surely at no time did you feel like this was your fault?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
You did? You did feel that? That's where I'm.
Years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, it's like, how in the hell is this your fault?
That's heartbreaking, though, to feel that way.
Yeah.
Could you share any insights into disrupting cycles of addiction and toxic thought patterns?
Yeah, so recognizing that I'm a sovereign being and I can choose what I think. Not all the thoughts that I have are necessarily originated from me, I don't think, if they're negative and stuff like that. So I can choose to think thoughts that are productive and help me grow and have a healthy relationship with myself and the world around me. When I discovered that, it's just a long process. I have these insights, and then it takes a long time of practicing to slowly see a change. But I think those are the kinds of changes that are much more lasting, is when it accumulates over time. So like the tapping example that we were talking about earlier, that's one way to kind of reprogram your mind to think a certain way. Another thing that I've done, that I practice, is I've recorded myself talking to myself at different stages in my life. So as a baby, a child, a teenager, and present. And I just said like really nice things to myself. at each stage of development as if I was the parent of that child. Like, oh, Sarah, you're so wonderful and beautiful and passionate. And I love your idiosyncrasies and everything about you from your head to your toes. And you just go on and on and on for like 15 minutes, right? Listen to that once or twice a day for a couple of weeks. Now, all of a sudden, man, you've got great internal dialogue going on. And you can see how your life changes just from that.
Yeah. Um, I've actually heard that before, and I really like that you've done this. And I'm glad that you brought that up because it is something that will help you get through any kind of pain that you've had in your life. Say you were abused as a child and you don't know why, you can go back and think about yourself and be like, you know what? I was a good kid. I did a lot of good things. I had a lot of good talents, and I still do. And you can love yourself, use that word, because loving yourself is probably a very difficult thing coming from a situation where you have been in foster homes, you've had abuse, neglect, and you have come out of it. And now you have to be a nurturing person for the person that was damaged, yourself, also so that you can be the best human being and best teacher for your own children. That is ultimately what we are here for. We are here to propagate love, caring, respect, and teach those things to your children so that they maybe get a little bit of a hint of how to take care of themselves and what to look for in a partner and what to look for in life, so that it's a positive thing, so that you can allow your child to grow up and hope that they make their good decisions, right? And maybe they won't go down the path that you went down if you can be strong enough, right? Does that resonate at all with you?
Yeah, I think emulating is just the best way to parent. Love your children. And before I really turned my life around and my daughter was young, like 4 or 5, people would say, would you want this for your daughter? What you're doing right now, what the choices you're making, do you want your daughter to make those choices? And I thought, no, I really don't. Mm-hmm. So just living in a way where like, I'm making choices today that I'm proud of. And I've got nothing to hide. And, my daughter sees how I live and she can emulate that.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's something to be proud of too, Sarah.
Very, very proud.
And I give you a lot of credit for coming forward, because I know how difficult it is to share some of those dark secrets that you've kept inside for so many years. There's, it takes a very strong individual to go through what you did and come out on a light side of the situation. The things that I've read in the past it curdles my blood when I think about some of the sick people out there that take advantage of people. And it's not just women, and it's not just children. It could be anyone, unfortunately. And you're a very petite woman, so I don't think that you would be very difficult to toss over the shoulder and take into a hidey hole and never be seen again, honestly. And I think that does happen. It's not a fantasy, and it's not just in the horror movie industry. This is real life for some people. And
though Sarah's kung fu game may be strong now, but
it may be now. Yeah.
I want to piggyback off it because, Sarah, I say this with due respect, you're one of the lucky ones.
Yeah.
To break free.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what about the the people who are in such a an environment or trafficking that it's their freedom might be death, killing themselves or something. It's that bad. I mean, how is it? I don't even know if I was going to say, if could you, if you're could speak to someone who's in that situation, but I don't know if, I mean, I guess if they're not able to get out, then I don't know. I'm really struggling here. Again,
You're saying, would there be any advice for someone who's in the situation? What would you have for them today?
yeah, that's, yeah.
There are situations like in underground tunnels and on remote islands and overseas where the person cannot get out. They can't escape and they have to be rescued.
Right.
And there are organizations like the Underground Railroad, what's that one? Our Rescue, that handle those types of situations. And I hope that they grow and expand and get the funding that they need to continue breaking people free. In the United States, in my experience and from what I've seen, apart from underground tunnels and, religious ritual, child sex, trafficking, and satanic rituals and stuff like that we won't get into. But I'm talking about the people that are psychologically manipulated and groomed into situations that maybe they can't get out. It's hard to get out, but there are lots of opportunities to escape because they're really trapped mentally because somebody that they trust has formed a relationship with them and gotten them to believe things about themselves and their situation that just aren't true. If you have a nagging feeling and you really want to get out, and you don't know what to do, just kind of put yourself away somewhere inside of yourself and pick someone you look up to that's really strong and that could get out of that situation and just pretend to be them in the moment in order to be able to walk out the door. So, if you're Samantha and just put Samantha away, and your role model is Wonder Woman, say, wear Wonder Woman. Just be Wonder Woman. Samantha's not even here anymore. Wonder Woman is walking out the door and going to a gas station and calling a local shelter. And you don't have to know the whole plan and everything. Don't think about what's going to happen in 3 weeks or a week or 3 days. Just think about opening the door and getting to the gas station. And just one step at a time, just the next thing. As Wonder Woman.
As Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
So when you were experiencing this dark time in your life, did you ever feel like you were not worthy of rescue? That's where you should be because that's where your mom was?
Oh, all the time.
So you felt like you deserved being there for some twisted reason.
Yeah. Absolutely, because that's what I was going before with that story about the inner child was I was programmed, imprinted in my nervous system to believe I'm not important and I will get in trouble if I voice what I need. Yeah. I didn't know that part of my subconscious existed and was directing my behavior and my thought patterns until I found the healing modalities and work that I'm doing now. But in that case with my mother, I wasn't with her, this for a long time. It was maybe months. But after that, and after spending 6 months in a safe house, I went back out and started doing it on my own. So that became an addiction. And I did believe, this is just all I'm good for. And it took a long time to get out of that. And
do you think that's typical?
Yeah, it is, because I know that all of the women I was interviewed by the FBI maybe 9 years ago. Because in my travels, I had encountered somebody who was a terrorist. And when the agent showed me pictures of the other women he was reaching out to testify against him or give them information on this guy, all of those women were either in federal prison or dead. So he said I was the only one that he reached out to that was like
living on the outside and not ridiculous.
Alive. Yeah. So it's very
were the other women that were in prison, were they in prison for sex trafficking?
No.
Related charges?
Not for trafficking, but for prostitution. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, that's the alternative, right?
So yeah,
if you're doing this and you're not on the controlling side, then you are considered somebody that can just go straight to jail too for crimes, sex crimes. So would you say that you I would say that you're one of the lucky ones then. Let's just put it that way.
Definitely, because I don't know anybody else that has survived and is talking about it.
It's a hard position to be in. But I'm glad that you are coming forward. I'm glad you share your story. Not only is it therapeutic, but it's something that terrifies me every single day. So I give you
the real world right now. Again,
I give you a lot of credit.
You've got kids, Tiffany. I've got girls. I've got grandchild. I've heard the stories. There was this in Louisville here. It's been months ago where somebody like a Kroger, Walmart was, being abducted or trying to be. And there was one time after I was with Claire and Mila at Kroger, and we're doing grocery shopping. I'm on one side and she's on the other, and she calls me and she's like, "Where are you? There are people literally watching me right now." And I go and I'm thinking, okay, let's see. And as I walk up, I started seeing people in position, and it was like, what the fuck is going on here? And you're just hearing the story. And I talking about this stuff. It's man,
I've got two stories for you that can connect to this, if you'd like to hear. Okay. So in 2010, I had my first daughter. She was about a month old, and I went to a store there's like a little strip center. There was a gun shop and an archery shop right next to each other. And for the first time in my life, I was 15 minutes early. I was supposed to be meeting my dad, and he was late. So my daughter was just a month old, and I was changing her in the back of my truck. So I went to the back of the vehicle, opened the hatch, and was changing her in the back. And I felt a stone hit my shoe. And I was like, that was really weird, because it hit me hard. And I was like, where did that rock come from to hit my foot? And I turn around, and there's this man standing right behind me. I didn't hear a damn thing. Right behind me. And I physically have to push him off of me and push him away. And I had to push him multiple times to get him away from me. And then I start screaming, and I look around, and this gentleman and his teenage son come out the door of the archery shop. And I was there to actually go in and purchase a bow from this guy who I'd known for a very long time, the owner. And I said, go back in there, tell Scott, I need help, get everybody out here. There's something, this dude is harassing me. He's trying to steal my kid, my car. Who knows what he's trying to do? Well, of course, I say some expletives and start screaming at him. And, all I'm doing is fighting with this random dude who's trying to push me back in my car.
He's physically touching you at this point.
he's right at me. So these guys come out. Of course, it's a who in his this guy had to have been nuts. I mean, first of all, he's a black guy attacking a white girl with her baby in a gun shop, in an archery shop parking lot. Who do you think is going to come out those doors? You're going to have 75 white dudes with guns walking out of those doors any second. And that's what happened. Literally, they came out, they rescue me, and they chase the dude. They get his license plate, they get everything, physical description, everything. They're taking my kid, they're taking my dogs inside, they are carting me in and protecting me, surrounding me. They call the cops, they tell them all that happens, and the cop comes and says, "Let me get this straight, ma'am." He was probably 25 years old. "Ma'am," I'm like 30 some. He said, "So you attacked a black guy in the parking lot?" And I just sat there, and you could see, like, I mean, I'm shaking. My whole body is quivering because I'm in complete fear and shock that this is even happening. And the guy starts screaming across the parking lot. He said, "You wouldn't talk to me like that if I were white." And I said, "That's not it. You stay away from me. You stay away from my kids. And I'm telling you one more thing. You stay away from a mom and her baby. Don't ever. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you want." And he gave this, like, starting talking and doing all this shit. And it's like, don't ever attack a woman and her baby, because believe me, we will win. We will try. We will fight. And that's like the mother instinct came out. But that was still an extreme amount of fear. So the cop says I attacked this guy in the parking lot. And of course, they had to get video, and they see that I'm pushing him off of me. So anyways, we find out who this guy is. He has been arrested and imprisoned for 10 years for kidnapping, assault and battery, grand car theft, breaking and entering, armed robbery, like everything that you could possibly, rapes, attempted murder. He's got all of it. He was in jail for 10 years. They just let him out. And what's he doing? Same shit, different day. Guess what? A month later, I'm in another parking lot. Same thing, because I'm a dumbass, apparently. I don't have it in my head. Don't do that. So I'm changing my daughter in the back of my car in a parking lot 6 miles away. Same guy, same thing.
Way.
Same guy, same thing happens in a different parking lot. And at this time, I am really irate, and I am physically just
And you
turned into
recognize that he's
oh my God. I was like, "You MFer, you did this to me last month." I said, "Your ass is grass." And I reached into my car for my gun. And guess what? My gun was gone. My husband had taken it out of my car. And I was like, this is the second time my husband took the gun out of the car the first time. So what in the world is going on? Obviously, I'm divorced now, but what is going on? Was there a plan to get specifically me? Was there a plan to get specifically my child, my car? What was the deal? This guy he's on a watch list. He's a bad dude. He's been in and out of prison for the past, 15, 20, 30 years, but a long time. But I think that it's very easy for women to be caught off guard, and taken advantage of, because as soon as they get a hold of you, there's so many drugs. They can shoot you up. They can use chloroform. There's so many ways that people can be taken and caught off guard completely. If somebody comes up behind you and your hands are busy, what do? They don't have to do a whole lot. Put your, they can get you quickly. I'm a little girl. I'm only 5'6". I was 120 pounds. It's not difficult to take and physically restrain a person of our size.
It doesn't sound like, though, he would be, the prototypical trafficking dude, because it just sounds like he went
He
through.
may have been working with another group because he had a woman with him both times, same woman.
Uh,
And I think it's important for us to not categorize traffickers as a certain type, because they
Mhm.
really do come in all shapes,
Yep.
sizes, colors,
That's fair.
backgrounds.
Absolutely.
Good call.
And I want
Yep.
to, can I highlight a couple of things that are really good about that story that you just shared?
Sure.
Please.
So I think it's helpful for people to be in community. Like you said, you were outside of the archery store and you knew the owner and you
Yes.
knew the people in there.
Yep.
And there's communication and recognition and respect and protection. That happens in relating in community.
Mm.
And I think what we're moving towards, and I don't want us to move towards this too much, with all the cell phones and things, is we're walking around just looking at our cell phones, unaware of stuff,
Correct.
not relating, not connecting, not having roots in a community.
Good points.
Yeah.
And that makes you vulnerable.
Yeah, I agree 100%. We are disconnected. Instead of paying attention to your children and your partners and your friends and your family and being there as a support system, we are sort of becoming less capable of human interaction. We're becoming these drones or these droids almost.
Transhuman. Yeah.
Yeah, there is something different. And I think that when people are at their weakest points, that's probably where they need the village to help protect them and take care of them. And that structure has long gone out the window for a lot of people.
Well, let's bring it back.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Because the people, no offense to your friends in the gun shop or the archery, while they're not selling, they're looking at their phone.
Maybe now, but even that
now.
day when the first attempt happened, my dad came in and saw me with the cop and everybody surrounded me and he's like, "Oh, Jesus," because he saw me yelling at the cop. I mean, I was ripping him a new asshole because he said I assaulted this guy. And my dad was like, "Oh shit, we're going to jail." Haven't been there before, but I guess we're going to go today. And I would have willingly gone downtown. I would have willingly gone downtown if it were meant to protect myself and my child. Take me down. Don't care. We'll figure this shit out today. And I think that a lot of people are they're almost too cautious and they're scared of stating, "You need to back up. You're in my personal space. You need to go along about your business and leave me alone." And I think that people are scared of voicing that. And I think we should be more able to say, "Hey, you're in my space. You need to move. You need to move on about your business." And I don't think that as a woman and as a young woman that we're told that we can do that. We have that right, So
Yeah, I did a boundary empowerment exercise today where I was practicing saying yes, 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 and no, no, no. That's like literally practicing it. We should be teaching schoolgirls
I agree.
how to do that and
I agree.
and feel boundaries in their bodies and get comfortable with it and own it.
How do you think that relates to the Roblox and Discord community
That's good. Yeah.
for the children? How do you teach that to someone? Because we're having that problem in our household. I have 2 teenagers and a 10-year-old, and that's very, very much part of the society today. Every child has electronics to a degree, whether they're using them in everyday school or if they just have them at home and they have free reign. How would you tell young people how to protect themselves from online predators?
So how I do it, I tell my daughter, look, I'm just honest with her. I just say, if you're on that Roblox thing and you're chatting to a stranger and you get angry at me one day and you want to run away and you talk to them about it, they're going to try to figure out a way to get you to leave. And they're going to take you, and then you're going to be in a bad situation, because then you're going to be a slave and you're going to be kidnapped. And we don't want that to happen. So what I would recommend is you just delete the app and don't even play it. Because
I agree.
But, if you're app daddies and I'm not there and you are playing it, why don't you just talk to the people that you know and you don't even engage with strangers? So you add the friends, if you're playing with your cousins, your friends from school, you can engage with them, but not anybody else. And if one of those people that you're playing with bullies you, then take a break from the app. And to her credit, she does a great job. Like, she follows all my guidance. She doesn't play it around me. And when she does play it at her dad's, she'll delete it if somebody is bullying her on there. And then there was something else.
Don't you think that that's part of the programming, is that they're trying to beat you down and then they'll build you back up, or find somebody to whisper to them all of the things that they can get away with if they don't listen to your mom and dad, and we'll do this and
Grooming. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
all programming and psychological tricks and grooming. So there's this idea that I read about in a parenting book,
Mhm.
no drama, discipline. And the idea is connect and redirect the behavior. So rather than just saying no to this one thing, like Roblox, I have tried to create a lifestyle and replace it with something that she can look forward to. So especially in the summer, we'll have weekly family outings where we don't have phones. We have a no phone day,
I
no
love that.
technology day, and we pick something to do. Everybody has a vote, and we go on a hike, or we go out kayaking, or go ride horses, go on a trail ride, whatever it is. We just pick something every week during the summer where we are together in nature.
I think that's wonderful. And I think that's a very healthy way to teach your daughter respect too. Respect for herself, and show that you care, and show that you can do things together in a real live setting. Because a lot of the parents are allowing their kids to just be on the internet 24 hours a day. We have a problem with that in our household. I'll admit, there's times where you have to let them know this is a fake world. That's fake. Like, all of these stupid games, I say stupid. Yes, it's a pastime, and people love it and have an outlet, and adults can use it appropriately, but children don't really understand that 06 F23 Z is not your friend, because the names for these usernames are not real people names. You can't even identify who most of these people are. So the problem is, oh, buddy from who knows where is wanting to chat with me in 10 minutes. I've got to be on there. And it's like, okay, well, is that someone from school? Oh, you don't have a clue who it is? Those are really some big no-nos. And so the grooming is very easy to do behind closed doors, because we're not watching every single keystroke that our children do. And that is their end. That's a definite way to violate your home from the inside.
Entertainment. Yeah, what's entering your house?
Let me share
It's
this.
scary.
Yeah. Sarah, circle round, revisit this. What are your thoughts on a creator being, quote unquote creator being? Does that concept fit into your current existence?
Great question.
Always.
So, Kevin, earlier you were saying that question. Like, if you were to ask me the question, why does God do these things?
I would like you to answer that, please.
Okay, my answer would be because this God you're speaking of is Yahweh, and he's the demiurge. He's not a good guy. we've just been programmed to worship him literally on a cellular level, like the worship gene. I don't know if you've heard of that thing, but a creator being, maybe like more, I think we were created by more evolved beings not from this planet. That's who we're created by, but like.
So aliens.
think-
Aliens?
You think we were seated here?
We were definitely, that is what's true for me.
I agree.
We were
100%.
seated here. And I think God, or like the Tao, the Tao that can be named is not the Tao. I don't know how that thing goes because I'm not Taoist. But you can't define, the Father in heaven, right? That maybe Yeshua was speaking of in those ancient historical accounts, right? I see that Father or the Trinity as like frequency, right? It's like the frequency of unconditional love. Like there's sound and color to it. And I don't understand it. It's completely like, I can't define it. I can't understand it because it's beyond my human capacity.
Tiffany, it sounds like Sarah wants to come on a show when we strictly talk ETs. And she's just
I think she might. I think she needs to go to bed this evening and contemplate another being who may have some special guidance for her.
What would that be?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's probably different for every human. I think that we all have spirit guides. I know that you see that you believe reincarnation, and you believe that you've been chosen to come at this time for a certain purpose. And I think that you found your purpose. So maybe you can connect with spirit and a universal consciousness and invite more guidance from even older sources, maybe.
Are you inviting me to have a party with aliens in my dream tonight?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Love it. Love it.
Yes. What time do you want them to show up?
How about like 10:45?
All
right. Sounds good. I'll sign you up.
Awesome.
You're on the schedule.
We just got permission from let's are we wrapping up? Let's do something tonight, Tiffany, that we haven't done in a while.
Oh, are we doing a tarot reading?
Not bad.
Okay.
I'm gonna throw a lighter side. I love doing this.
I know what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
We haven't done it in a while.
Rapid fire questions, Sarah. Fun.
Okay.
Just have fun with it.
Lighten the mood for you, Sarah.
Yeah. First concert.
Before you go and meet all your guides.
Okay.
First concert.
Josh Groban.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What?
Really?
That's awesome.
I've got I love music, and rock is my go-to, but I love me some Josh Groban.
Me too.
That was with Ladysmith Black Mambazo too.
I don't know who that is.
They're an African band.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is, but that sounds awesome.
Yes. It's
okay.
Yeah. All right. This is not a stereotype, but be honest. On a scale of 1 to 10, how good of a driver are you?
I'm like a 9.
Good.
Yeah. Isn't that what all 5 say? They're a 9. Okay. Invisibility or super strength?
Super strength.
If you could travel back in time, what period would you go to?
Dang, that one's hard.
You said you believe in reincarnation. Where would you?
Where would you have been?
Yeah.
Okay, so we can bring past lives into it.
Absolutely, go ahead.
Yeah.
If you think that you have a connection, let's hear it.
I want to go back. I want to experience Andromeda.
Oh wow.
Very cool.
I like that.
We might send you one of those guides tonight. Yuffie, make it happen.
What's a Sarah pet peeve?
I can't say that one out loud.
You can say
You can say it.
You speak freely here.
Guys not opening doors.
Oh, that's a good one. Come on.
Gosh.
It's about basic respect and gentleman behavior. Brent
Okay.
still opens my door after 6 years.
Does he?
Awesome.
Yes, that's a good thing. It's about respect and
Are those date nights?
yeah.
Okay.
No, that's a good one.
Hashtag simply irresistible. All right. Last Halloween costume.
I think that was the witch.
Very nice.
Mhm.
Was it a white witch or a
black.
dark witch?
Good witch
Well,
or bad witch?
wearing black.
What is it? Witch of the East? Witch of the West? What is that?
Just a witch. Like, I just look witchy.
I like that.
Favorite ice cream flavor?
Chocolate chip cookie dough.
Yum,
Cake or pie?
You're in Georgia, is that right?
Can I have both? Yeah.
You can have both.
Okay.
If you could ask God one question, what would it be?
Are we talking about the back of Yahweh or like the Father?
Whatever
Your
God is.
your creator.
Yeah.
Oh, the nice people. Okay. Any question? I really don't think I have any.
Don't make me play the Jeopardy tune. Come on.
And okay, a question. I just need to know what a question. Why?
Skip.
Yeah, can we skip that one? I don't have this one.
That's fine.
You lost points on that one.
I know, yeah. Ask permission or beg for forgiveness?
Ask permission.
Really? Okay.
Kevin always is just like, sorry.
Yeah. This is
Can you forgive
this
me?
is straight up Tiffany. In your heart of hearts, do snitches get stitches?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally do.
Toilet paper, over or under?
Under.
Do you have a cat?
Whoa. Under?
Yeah, like, what do you mean toilet paper? Over?
Toilet
Does it
paper.
go over and you
Oh.
pull it? Or does
Or-
it come the other way and you have to pull it up?
Like this.
So that's
Okay.
over. That's over.
Over. Yeah. That's an over.
She would have lost more points.
I know. Well, if you have a cat, you have to do it the opposite way. Otherwise, all your toilet paper is out the door with scratches all in it. So they really enjoy that.
All right, last one for you, sir. What is your happy place?
So many. But there's this place in California called Walala. It's really pretty. It's right on the ocean off Highway 1 in Mendocino County, and there's a river that runs through it. And the forests are like, they're just magical.
Is that a great place for all of your fun activities? Your hiking, your canoeing, your kayaking, your running, your mountain biking?
Yep.
Your mushrooming.
Your
All
mushrooming?
of it. Yeah.
You still do mushrooms?
Oh, as often as I can, which is like maybe a few times a year.
Okay.
I still need to do that.
That sounds like a Joe Rogan question.
Yeah. All right. Well, that concludes rapid fire. Tiffany, I'm glad we did tonight. I'm going to look back and be very happy and proud that we kind of not our comfort zone. It's not a comfort zone because you and I are in touch with the real world because kids and stuff, but that's not what our show is. Typically what our show is, but Sarah, you were amazing tonight. So, and tonight, Tiffany, one of the few times that we've done a show where I truly listened. And I don't say that with disrespect to other shows because in other shows I'm formulating questions that I just
True
comfortable with. And here it's like again, I talked about this anxiety, kids, grandkids. This, I'll say this, and whether I'm, burying myself or, making, confessing to something, but I've lived long enough where if someone was to do something to one of my kids, I'll go out with the blaze of glory and they're coming with me. So but and that is unfortunately, that's something I have to think about because of where we are in society right now. This is not a one-off with Sarah. This is happening. I don't know people are into this, being forced into this as we speak right now.
Yeah, there's some statistics out there, but it sounds really, really low. Like in 2023 report of the nation, to the nation from the Office of Victims of Crimes indicates that new investigations identified 7,957 potential victims of sex trafficking and 9,334 potential victims of labor trafficking. Task force secured
US
3,700 arrests for sex trafficking and 31 arrests for labor trafficking. That number is so minuscule. I would say that that's probably on a state or a city level rather than a country level. That does not, the numbers do not add up to me.
Well, I mean, Sarah, or is that when you hear those numbers, what is that to you?
All numbers I think are underreported.
Yes.
One that I quote, I think it's like 4.5 million people worldwide are in a forced sexual exploitation situation worldwide. That's like, but then you look at like the war in Ukraine and think of like, okay, all of those people in a vulnerable situation were preyed upon by traffickers.
Oh, but I think that's what we're looking at all over our borders right now, though, too. That's something that we're going to have to face over the next few years with the influx of people, unaccountable people that don't have any kind of identification that will keep them as a legitimate citizen. Like these people are at the mercy of whoever takes them in and helps them out. And it's not always going to be help.
I'm sorry. I think that's why we need to be more communities and have things done on a community level. Yes, I am an anarchist because what we've been doing isn't working. So let's stop giving our power away and reclaim it and just be sovereign beings in communities and protect each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. The idea of looking out for our fellow man, no part of the gender, it's a misconception. I mean, we're first of all, we're as divided as ever in this country. You can, whatever side of politics you are on, and it's one or the other. It's hard to talk to people who see things different than you. But we got to find some common ground. I mean, because I'm still, if I see something happening that's to someone that I don't know, I'm going to get involved somehow, some way. If I have to, physically get there, or I'm calling or whatever, following, that's just, to me, the right thing to do.
Lend a hand when you need to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this evening, Sarah. Your journey was absolutely educational for us to hear. Hopefully, it will give some information and inspiration for anybody in this situation to find the power and find the internal desire to get out and to fight back as much as they can, and really try to break the broken system that we already have, that we're seeing as a trend. And I think you're a very strong woman. I I thank you for coming forward and sharing your story and sharing your information and sharing hopefully what will give other people some real words of wisdom to live by. And we thank you very much for your time.
Let me before we let her go, I'm
Oh,
going to
okay.
talk to us, Sarah.
Oh,
What
okay.
we got here?
Yeah, that's the book I wrote about my experience. It's pretty short. You could read it in like a matter of hours, probably in a day. But I go over the overall issue of exploitation and trafficking, especially in the United States. And then I go over what happened. And then I try to focus on ways to heal yourself, ways to come out of it and ways to create heaven out of hell.
Mm-hmm.
So it's on Amazon. There's another link, ingramspark.com. They're in the links are in the description. As we've shown on the banner, Sarah's website, I am saralauren.com. I need a I am kevinhale.com. I do. Sarah, I mean, yeah, again, tonight was Tiffany. I'm proud of this one. Just saying. I'm glad that we were able to do this.
All right. So any last comments that you would like to add before we close for the evening?
You want to show her which ET, Tiffany? Pull up the ET that's going to be visiting her.
Is it that one?
Or Gumby, the Gumby.
Nice. I'll watch this guy.
There you go. Actually, I think I have a picture that I drew of one. Let's see where it is. I'll see if this is the one that you're going to go visit. Is that the one? That's the one who's going to come visit you tonight.
Is that Andromeda?
I don't know. This is one that visited me.
Really?
You drew it. That's your art.
Yeah,
Tiffany,
that's
right?
me.
That is so cool.
Yeah. I don't know if I have any other ones up here. But yes. And that was a good one. I know it doesn't look that nice, but it was a good one. So we'll send you good dreams tonight.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for having me.
Thank you
Thank you so much.
Nice.
All right. You have a wonderful evening.
Sarah,
You
thanks.
too.
We'll be in touch. Thank you.
All right.